My name is Margaret Chen, and at 75 years old, I'm finally walking across that graduation stage. The auditorium at Sacramento Community College buzzes with excitement as families fill the seats, cameras flashing, proud voices calling out names. Children wave balloons, elderly parents wipe away tears of pride, and graduates pose for selfies with their loved ones. But as I adjust my cap and gown, scanning the crowd from backstage, my heart sinks. The section I reserved for my family sits, completely empty, 6 seats that mock me with their vacancy. My daughter Lisa said she'd try to make it, but her law firm keeps her buried in cases. She's been working toward partner for 3 years, and I understand that my graduation might not rank high on her priority list. My son Michael lives in Seattle now, completely absorbed in his tech startup that's supposedly on the verge of a breakthrough. The grandchildren I barely see, Emma, Jake, and little Sophie, are probably at soccer practice, piano lessons, or birthday parties. I understand, really I do. Life moves fast when you're young, and I'm just an old woman finally finishing something I should have done decades ago. I came to America from Taiwan 47 years ago with nothing but a worn suitcase, a basic English dictionary, and dreams bigger than my courage. The transition was brutal. Everything from grocery shopping to parent-teacher conferences felt like climbing Mount Everest. I worked 3 jobs to put my children through school, cleaning office buildings from midnight to 6 a.m., working at Mrs. Kim's laundromat during the day where the steam made me dizzy and my hands cracked from the chemicals, and watching neighbors' kids in the evenings while teaching them basic Mandarin for extra money. Education was everything to me. It represented hope, opportunity, the American dream I'd crossed an ocean to find. But mine got left behind in the shuffle of survival, buried under bills, homework help, and the constant juggling act of immigrant motherhood. Every semester at the community center, I'd pick up college brochures, telling myself, next year, or when the kids are older, or when we have more money. When my husband Henry passed 5 years ago after a brief but fierce battle with cancer, I finally decided it was my turn. The house felt impossibly empty. My children were busy with their own lives, and I realized I had no identity beyond mother and widow. At 70, I enrolled in community college to finish what I started decades ago, terrified but determined. The other students were kind, though I felt like their grandmothers sitting in lecture halls. Study groups politely included me, professors were patient with my questions about technology, and younger classmates helped me navigate online assignments. But today, when it matters most, when I'm finally achieving something that's purely mine, I'm alone. The dean calls my name, Margaret Chen, Associate of Arts in Social Work. My legs shake as I walk toward the stage, each step echoing in what feels like silence despite the crowded auditorium. The graduation gown feels too big, like I'm playing dress-up in someone else's achievement. No camera flashes capture my moment, no proud shouts of "That's my mom" or "Go Grandma" pierce the air. As I reach for my diploma, I hear it, one clear voice from the back cutting through my isolation. "You did it, Margaret!" Then another student shouts, "Way to go!" Suddenly, something magical begins to happen that will change everything I thought I knew about family and belonging. Tell me in the comments where you're watching this from, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of this incredible story. The voice belongs to Marcus, a 22-year-old Army veteran I'd befriended in our Psychology of Trauma class. He's standing in the family section, clapping enthusiastically with tears streaming down his face. Marcus never talked much about his own family, but we'd spent countless hours discussing PTSD, resilience, and the challenges of starting over after life-changing experiences. "That's my friend Margaret," he yells, his voice carrying across the previously silent auditorium with the commanding presence of someone who's learned to project authority. Then Sophia, the brilliant young single mother from my statistics study group, joins in. "Margaret Chen, you're amazing." She's holding her 3-year-old daughter Isabella, both of them cheering with enthusiasm that makes my chest tight with emotion. Sophia had struggled through calculus while working nights at a diner and caring for Isabella alone after her boyfriend abandoned them. During our study sessions, I'd often watch Isabella color quietly while Sophia and I worked through complex problems, and I'd bring extra snacks and small toys to keep the child occupied. More voices follow like a wave building strength. James. From my English composition class who'd helped me understand Shakespeare when the language felt impossible. Elderly Mrs. Rodriguez, who sat next to me in American history and shared stories about immigration that made the textbook come alive. Even Professor Williams, who taught my social work practicum and had become something of a mentor during my fieldwork. Placement. But the real surprise comes when I see them sitting in the very back row. 5 residents from Sunset Manor, the nursing home where I'd been completing my required volunteer hours. Mrs. Patterson is in her wheelchair, carefully dressed, in her best cardigan and holding a small handmade sign that reads, "Our Graduate," with shaky but determined lettering. Next to her, Mr. Johnson waves his walking cane in the air like a victory flag, his face beaming with pride that seems almost too large for the frail body containing it. These 5 elderly souls somehow made the difficult journey here, probably coordinating with the nursing staff, arranging special transportation, and navigating the challenges of leaving their care facility just to witness my achievement. Mrs. Patterson, who suffers from early-stage dementia but has moments of perfect clarity, had apparently been talking about Margaret's big day for weeks. Mr. Johnson, recovering from a stroke that left him with limited mobility, had insisted on wearing his late wife's favorite tie, a splash of vibrant blue against his white shirt. These weren't my blood family, but as I stand there holding my diploma, I realize they were something even more precious, my chosen family. The people whose lives I'd touched while pursuing my education, who had touched mine in return. During my practicum hours at Sunset Manor, I'd spent countless afternoons listening to their stories, advocating for better care, organizing activities that brought joy to their routine-heavy days, and simply being present when loneliness threatened to overwhelm them. The applause grows louder, spreading through the auditorium like wildfire. Soon, half the audience is standing and cheering for me, strangers who don't know my story but are moved by the raw emotion of this moment. Parents holding cameras turn them toward me, grandparents nod with understanding, and young graduates smile with genuine warmth. The dean shakes my hand longer than the others, whispering, "You've inspired us all, Margaret. This is what education should look like." As I hold my diploma, the weight of it feels different now. Not just a piece of paper representing personal achievement, but a symbol of the community I've built and the bridges I've constructed between generations, cultures, and circumstances. Education isn't just about acquiring knowledge or earning credentials. It's about connection, purpose, and the ripple effects of caring about others. Walking off stage, I'm surrounded by my college friends, their congratulations genuine and heartfelt. But my eyes stay fixed on those nursing home residents who made this journey just for me. Their presence here reveals a truth I'm only beginning to understand about the true meaning of family and belonging. After the ceremony, I'm overwhelmed by hugs and congratulations from classmates I didn't even realize had been paying attention to my journey. Students I'd only exchanged pleasantries with approach me with genuine warmth, sharing how my determination had motivated them through difficult moments in their own academic struggles. Sarah from my psychology class mentions how watching me take notes by hand, because I never fully mastered typing, reminded her that learning happens in many different ways. Marcus carefully wheels Mrs. Patterson over to me, navigating through the crowd with the precision of someone who understands mobility challenges. She grabs my hands with surprising strength, her grip firm, despite the arthritis that usually makes simple tasks difficult. "Margaret, dear, we couldn't miss this day for the world," she says, her eyes bright with the kind of pride usually reserved for blood relatives. "You know exactly what you mean to us at Sunset Manor. You're the only person who really listens to us, who fights for us when we can't fight for ourselves, who treats us like we still matter. Mr. Johnson leans heavily on his walking cane, nodding vigorously despite the effort it clearly requires. His speech, still affected by his stroke, comes slowly but with great conviction. When Marcus called to tell us about your graduation, we knew we had to be here. You've changed our lives in ways you probably don't even realize, and now look at you, changing your own life, proving it's never too late for dreams. I'm genuinely confused, looking between Marcus and the elderly residents. Marcus called, "You? How do you even know Marcus? I never introduced you, and I thought you were just another student in my classes." Marcus shifts uncomfortably, running his hand through his hair in a gesture I recognize from when he's nervous about speaking in class. "Mrs. Chen, there's something important I haven't told you. After you mentioned your volunteer work at Sunset Manor during our first class discussion about fieldwork placements, I decided to start volunteering there too. I was curious about your stories, and honestly, I needed the volunteer hours for my own program requirements." He pauses, glancing at the nursing home residents who are smiling knowingly. "These wonderful folks have been telling me stories about you for months. How you advocated when Mrs. Patterson wasn't getting her prescribed medication on the correct schedule. How you organized that letter-writing campaign when the administration tried to cut the activities budget in half. How you brought in your own craft supplies when they said art therapy was non-essential." Sophia joins our growing circle, her daughter Isabella now running around our legs with the uninhibited joy that only 3-year-olds possess. "Margaret, I need you to know something too. You inspired me to keep going when I wanted to drop out after my second semester. Single parenting while taking a full course load felt completely impossible until I watched you juggling everything with such grace and determination. You never complained, never made excuses, never acted like your challenges were bigger than anyone else's." The revelation hits me like a gentle wave of understanding. While I had been feeling isolated and forgotten by my biological family, convinced that my achievements meant nothing to anyone who mattered, I had unknowingly created a network of people who cared deeply about my success and had been quietly supporting me in ways I never recognized. But there's something else brewing, in the air around us. Something I notice in the way Marcus and the nursing home residents exchange meaningful glances, the way Professor Williams keeps checking his watch, the way Sophia seems to be deliberately keeping me occupied in this particular spot of the reception area. "There's more to this story, isn't there?" I ask suspiciously, my social work training kicking in as I recognize the signs of a planned intervention or surprise. Mrs. Patterson grins mischievously, her dementia momentarily lifting to reveal the sharp intelligence that made her a successful teacher for 40 years. "Oh, honey, you have no idea what we've all been planning together. Marcus here isn't just a student volunteer like you thought. Tell her the whole truth, son." Marcus takes a deep breath, looking around at the expectant faces before meeting my eyes directly. "Mrs. Chen, I need to be completely honest with you. I'm not just a student working on additional certification. I'm actually a licensed social worker who graduated 2 years ago. I came back to school for specialized training in elder advocacy, but I've also been conducting a formal investigation. With your help, though you didn't know you were helping, we've built a comprehensive case that's about to change everything at Sunset Manor and potentially dozens of other facilities. My diploma suddenly feels heavier in my hands, and I have to sit down in a nearby chair as the implications of Marcus's words sink in." "What kind of case? What do you mean I was helping without knowing it?" Marcus pulls out his phone, scrolling through photos and documents with the efficiency of someone who's been building this case methodically. Systematic neglect, financial exploitation of residents' personal funds, dangerous understaffing levels, substandard nutrition despite charging premium rates. We're talking about widespread elder abuse that's been happening for years under the cover of a respectable facility. The phone screen shows photos I recognize, the dining room where I'd noticed residents sitting alone for hours, the activity room that was always locked during budget meetings, the medication cart that never seemed to be properly supervised. But I was just trying to help individual people with everyday problems, I whisper, looking around at the faces of my nursing home friends. Exactly, exclaims Mrs. Patterson, with more energy than I've seen from her in months. And that's what made you absolutely perfect for this. You weren't investigating with any agenda. You were simply caring about people who needed care. The administration never suspected that your volunteer work was creating a detailed record of everything they were trying to hide from state inspectors. Sophia's daughter Isabella tugs on my graduation gown with sticky fingers. Are you the nice lady? Who got Grandpa Johnson his favorite mystery books back? She asks with the innocent directness that only children possess. Mr. Johnson chuckles, his eyes twinkling with affection. That's exactly right, sweetheart. Margaret here fought tooth and nail to keep our library open when those administrative vultures wanted to turn it into additional storage space for their office supplies. The pieces of a larger puzzle start connecting in my mind, like synapses firing after a long dormancy. Every small victory I thought I'd won for individual residents was actually building a comprehensive picture of institutional problems. The medication schedules I helped organize when I noticed residents missing doses. The nutrition complaints I submitted when I saw elderly diabetics being served sugar-heavy meals. The activity budget I fought to restore when I realized isolation was contributing to depression. It was all evidence in a case I didn't know I was building. There's going to be a state investigation starting next week, Marcus continues, his voice taking on the professional tone I now realize he's been suppressing in our classes. Your documentation as a practicum student, combined with my professional observations and the testimonies from residents like Mrs. Patterson and Mr. Johnson, gives us the credibility and comprehensive evidence we need to pursue criminal charges, not just administrative sanctions. I feel dizzy with the magnitude of what he's telling me. Are you saying that my entire education, my volunteer work, all of this was part of some elaborate plan that I wasn't aware of? No, absolutely not, Marcus says quickly, his student persona returning as he recognizes my distress. Your education was completely yours, your dream, your hard work, your achievement. The timing worked out perfectly by coincidence, not design. You needed your social work degree for credibility as an advocate, and we desperately needed someone with your genuine heart and cultural competence to document what was really happening to residents who felt voiceless. Professor Williams approaches our group with an expression I can't quite read. Serious but not disapproving. Concerned but somehow proud. Margaret, I apologize for interrupting, but could I speak with you privately for just a moment? His tone suggests this isn't a casual conversation, and I wonder if I'm about to face consequences for unknowingly participating in an investigation that might have ethical implications for my fieldwork. As we step aside from the celebration continuing, around us, he places a gentle hand on my shoulder and says quietly, "There's something else you need to know about your family situation today. Something that might explain why they're not here, and something that's going to change your life in ways you never imagined." The celebration continues around us, but his words send a chill through me that has nothing to do with the air conditioning. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more. You won't believe what comes next in this incredible story. Professor. Williams's expression is grave as he leads me to a quieter corner of the reception area, away from the continuing celebration and media attention that's beginning to gather around our group. His usual warm demeanor is replaced by something more serious, almost parental in its concern. Margaret, I received several phone calls this morning from your daughter Lisa's law firm, and the situation is quite complex, he begins, choosing his words carefully. There's been a significant development regarding your late husband's estate that requires your immediate attention, but it's not what you might expect. My heart stops, and worst-case scenarios flood my mind. Is something wrong with Lisa? With Michael? Are they in some kind of legal trouble? Is that why they're not here? They're both fine, physically and legally, he assures me quickly. But your son Michael has been desperately trying to reach you for the past 3 weeks about discoveries related to your husband Henry's financial affairs. The problem is that your old phone number was disconnected when you moved to the senior apartment complex, and they had trouble tracking down your new contact information through the college. I shake my head, confused and frustrated with myself. I gave the school my new number months ago. I don't understand why there would be any issues with Henry's estate. We settled everything years ago when he passed. He left me the house, which I sold to move to the smaller apartment, and a modest savings account that's been helping cover my college expenses. That was everything he had. Professor Williams pulls out a folder that he's been carrying, and I notice it's thick with official-looking documents. That's what everyone believed, Margaret. But Michael hired a forensic accountant to review your husband's financial records for tax purposes, and they discovered something extraordinary that changes everything. The words feel like they're coming from very far away. What kind of discovery? Your coin-some husband Henry had been quietly investing in technology startups for over 20 years, but he never told anyone. Not you, not the children, not even your family accountant. He was incredibly methodical and conservative about it, never risking money you needed for daily expenses, but consistently investing small amounts in companies he researched obsessively. The information doesn't compute with the man I thought I knew. Henry was careful with money to the point of being frugal, a methodical machinist who saved every receipt and balanced our checkbook to the penny. The idea that he was secretly playing the stock market, much less investing in risky startups, seems completely impossible. Professor Williams, you must be mistaken. Henry never even used a computer. He balanced our checkbook with a pencil and did our taxes by hand every year. There's no way he was investing in technology companies. That's what made him so successful, Professor Williams explains patiently. He wasn't investing emotionally or following trends. He was treating it like engineering, researching companies' fundamentals, studying their patents, understanding their practical applications. One of those companies just went public last month, and several others have been acquired by major corporations. My legs feel unsteady, and I have to lean against the wall for support. How much money are we talking about? A few $1,000s that might help with my living expenses? Professor Williams opens the folder and shows me documents covered with numbers that seem to have too many zeros. Over $2.7 million, Margaret. Your children have been working with attorneys and financial advisors for weeks, trying to handle the complex legal processes required to access these funds. But they need your signature and presence to finalize everything. The number is so large, it seems fictional, like something from a movie rather than my real life. 2 million. But how is that possible? We lived so modestly. We clipped coupons and saved for months to buy a new refrigerator. According to the documentation Michael found, Henry was planning to surprise you with this money for your 70th birthday. He had been building this fund specifically to ensure your financial security so you could pursue your dreams, including going back to school, without worrying about money. But then he got sick, and in the final months of his illness, he was too weak to explain everything he had planned. Tears streamed down my face as I realized my husband had been secretly planning for my future while I thought we were just getting by day to day. They weren't avoiding my graduation ceremony. Lisa and Michael were trying to handle all of this legal complexity while planning to surprise me. There's even more to the story, Professor Williams continues gently. The reason I know about all of this is because Michael called the college directly, trying to locate you. He mentioned that they've been planning something special for after your graduation. They wanted to wait until after your achievement to avoid overshadowing what you've accomplished independently. Suddenly, Marcus appears at my elbow with Mrs. Patterson, both of them looking concerned about my emotional state. Mrs. Chen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this, Marcus says urgently, holding up his phone. On the screen is a local news website with a headline that makes my knees weak. 75-year-old graduate's volunteer work exposes major elder abuse scandal at local nursing facility. My photo from the college website is prominently displayed alongside pictures of Sunset Manor. The article describes me as a determined social work graduate whose compassionate volunteer work inadvertently documented systematic elder abuse, leading to a major state investigation. I'm going to be famous? I ask weakly, feeling overwhelmed by the rapid succession of life-changing revelations. Mrs. Patterson grins with the satisfaction of someone who's been keeping a wonderful secret. Honey, you're about to be much more than famous. You're about to have the resources and platform to be genuinely powerful in ways that can change thousands of lives. The reception hall has filled with local reporters who caught wind of the story developing around my graduation. A professional-looking woman with a camera crew approaches our group, but Marcus immediately steps protectively in front of me. Mrs. Chen, I'm Jennifer Walsh from Channel 7 News, she says warmly. We understand that your volunteer work led to the discovery of serious issues at Sunset Manor. We'd like to speak with you about your investigative work. Investigative work? I repeat, still struggling to process how people are perceiving my simple volunteer efforts. I wasn't investigating anything. I was just volunteering, trying to help people who seemed lonely and neglected. Ma'am, according to sources at the State Attorney General's office, your documentation led to the discovery of over $300,000 in missing funds designated for resident care, Jennifer continues, her cameraman quietly filming. They're calling it one of the most comprehensive elder abuse cases they've encountered. Before I can respond, my phone rings. The caller ID shows Lisa, my daughter. With shaking hands, I answer while the camera records. Mom, I am so incredibly sorry I missed your graduation. Lisa's voice is breathless with stress. We've been trying to coordinate this surprise for weeks, but everything got complicated with Dad's estate discovery. Then Michael's flight got delayed, and I got called into emergency court. Lisa, slow down, I say, aware this conversation is being broadcast live. Professor Williams told me about your father's investments. Mom, the money is just part of what we've been planning, she continues rapidly. We found Dad's journals, 3 notebooks full of investment research and personal thoughts. He wrote about you constantly, planning to surprise you with the money for your 70th birthday. The last entry says, Margaret will change the world if given the chance and resources. This money will give her both. Tears stream down my face, and I'm aware this personal moment is being captured on camera. There's something else, Mom, Lisa continues. Michael and I have been working with attorneys and nonprofit consultants. We want to use Dad's money to establish a foundation for elder advocacy. We want you to be the executive director. Me? But I just earned my associate's degree. I'm not qualified to run a foundation. Mom, you just exposed a major elder abuse operation using compassion and determination. You created documentation that investigators call exemplary. You're the most qualified person we know. The reporter captures every word, and I realize this conversation is becoming a public commitment. What would this foundation do? Whatever. You think it should do, Mom. You'd have resources, legal support, and a platform to address elder abuse systematically. You could help rewrite policies, train advocates, and give elderly people a voice. The reporter extends her microphone toward me, recognizing this as a pivotal moment. Mrs. Chen, would you like to comment on how your education has led to this convergence of opportunity and purpose? I look around at the faces watching me. Marcus, the nursing home residents, my classmates, Professor Williams, and a growing crowd drawn by the news but staying because something resonates with them. I came to America from Taiwan 47 years ago, with nothing but dreams larger than my courage, I begin, surprised by my strong voice. I spent decades working multiple jobs to support my family, always dreaming of finishing my education, but never finding the right time. The crowd has grown, with people stopping their celebrations to listen. When I finally returned to school at 70, I thought I was doing it for personal fulfillment. But I've discovered that real education is about what you do with knowledge to serve others, especially those who can't advocate for themselves. Mrs. Patterson calls out, "Tell them about the activities fund, Margaret." I smile at her. At sunset. Manor, I noticed residents were isolated and forgotten. Simple things that bring joy, art materials, books, activities, conversation, were being cut as non-essential. I didn't investigate anything. I simply wanted these wonderful people to have dignity in their daily lives. And now? Jennifer prompts. Now I have education that gives me credibility, resources I never dreamed of, and a platform that could reach thousands. My husband believed in my potential before I did. My children supported my dreams when I felt alone. These residents showed me that age is just a number when fighting for justice. Marcus steps forward. Mrs. Chen, there's one more surprise. He gestures toward the entrance, where my son Michael rushes through the doors carrying flowers, looking frantically around the room. Behind him are my grandchildren, Emma, Jake, and Sophie, holding a banner reading, "Congratulations, Grandma Margaret, college graduate, social justice warrior, and our hero." The auditorium erupts in applause, led by my family cheering with enthusiasm that makes everyone's celebration louder and more joyful. They've been planning this for weeks, Marcus explains. We've all been coordinating, your family, classmates, residents, even Professor Williams. Looking at the news camera, I say, this is just the beginning. Education should never end. Service shouldn't be limited by age, and every person deserves dignity regardless of circumstances. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories. Michael reaches me first, wrapping me in a bear hug that lifts me off the ground. Mom, I'm so sorry about the timing. The Seattle storms delayed flights for 12 hours. I was terrified I'd miss your most important day. My grandchildren surround me with enthusiastic affection. Grandma, you're on television, Sophie squeals. Mommy said you're going to help sad people, and we can help too. Emma, now 16, looks at me with genuine admiration. Grandma, I want to study social work like you. What you did at that nursing home, I want to learn that kind of advocacy work. Jake, quietly observant at 14, adds, Dad showed us articles about your investigation. You're like a superhero fighting for people's dignity. Lisa arrives breathlessly from court, still in her business suit. She hugs me tightly, whispering, Dad would be so proud. You've become exactly who he always knew you could be. Professor Williams approaches with official documents. Margaret, the College Board approved your bachelor's degree application with full credit for your experience. They're also offering you a paid position as Student Life Coordinator for non-traditional students. I stare at the documents. I could continue studying while helping other students like me? Exactly. The college wants to partner with your foundation to create an elder advocacy certificate program. You'd help design curriculum based on your experience. Mrs. Patterson calls out, That means more advocates like Marcus. Margaret, you're creating an army. Marcus shows me his phone. Your story is going viral. Thousands are sharing videos, discussing elder care experiences, asking how to get involved. The screen shows comments nationwide. How can I help my grandmother's facility? And I'm 68 and considering school after watching this. For my final comment, I look directly into the camera. If you think it's too late to pursue dreams or make a difference, you're wrong. Every voice matters, every story has value, and caring about others is the most powerful force for change. The applause is deafening, but my grandchildren's faces matter most. Emma whispers, When I graduate college, I want to be like you. Sophie announces, I'm going to help old people too. At 75, I'm not ending anything. I'm beginning the most important chapter. The empty graduation seats weren't isolation. They were space for the family I built through service and education. Maybe I really am a hero. Maybe we all are when we choose to care.